try number 2. This didn't work the first time. So I'm kind of going to rapid fire this a little bit more just because I don't. So recording number 2, I went half an hour without realizing, or 20 minutes without realizing I wasn't recording. So I'm not exactly in the best mood before that. But anyways, there will be no Golden Dome this week, sadly. I've got nothing to talk about. And because I don't really talk about recruiting, just because we've got a dead period for visits till what, June 1st? July visits, because there's not much benefit to them. I mean, hey, they went after Archie Manning. Congratulations. Doesn't mean they're going to get him. Doesn't mean I really should spend time talking about him. There's not much going on in the off season. I'm going to have to take another week to just see what's going on and see if anything happens. But nothing has happened, really. That's noteworthy enough that I'm going to talk about. So, to get at least 20-minute podcast. So off this week, sorry. But it may be back next week or the week after. I'm not sure. It depends on the news we get and what happens. Or if they start considering fans and stands and stuff. And sucks to not have one, but at this point, I think it's the best thing to do instead of try to create something out of nothing for 20 minutes. And it's just not going to be the best work, and that's not what I want to put out. But anyways, let's start. Nate Meadows. So, a couple problems. He's not been on a roster since 2020. He is not consistent with staying on the field, whether that be just because he's a former UDFA and there wasn't openings for him to play, blah, 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 whatever. But he hasn't really gotten much field time above 50 snaps a season. He got max 30 on special teams last season. Around 30, I'd say. Special teams, 2019 actually. 2020, he had around 15. And on defense, he had probably around 15 to 20 in 2019. And he didn't see the field in 2021, which kind of worries me that it's like a UDFA situation now, except he's older, potentially more or less developed, depending on, or potentially more developed or not, still raw. It's a whole situation. My other problem is he's 5'11". What do we need? Outside corners. What do we need, or what else do we need? Somebody with height. Somebody 6 flat or above would be nice, but it would be great if we got somebody 5'2" or above. We have nobody above 5'2". We've got, 3 or 4 corners above, or 5 flat or above? Really? Really? You're going to line up Schley, Taylor, Seymour, and Jaquette on the outside? That is a disappointing DB lineup. He is listed as DB, I will note, so they couldn't move him to safety, but they're going to have to put him at corner. The safety lineup for outside is abysmal. Yes, we have Zach McPherson. He says to say Zach, it's Zach. Whatever. No, I'm not throwing the kid in week 1. It could be good, it could be bad. I'd rather not take the bad. Not right now. I'd rather give him at least half a season, let him develop, let him learn behind Schley, and then give him some time here and there, and then slowly build up his snaps and see what he can do. Not throw him into the fray. No. Do not do that. This is not a Carson Wentz situation where you've got nobody in front of him that really can play. It is a situation of we got nobody above 6'1". We don't. We've got 4 above, or 4 6 flat or above, 2 6'1". Do you really want to line that up on your outside? Some short corners? No, I want somebody tall to at least match up on the bigger corners. Not Nate Meadors. No. I like him as a player. He seems like a nice guy. But I'll pass. Even though this is a Gannon guy, I'll pass. Can we get somebody else, please? And then, Potential for Hicks to come here. Maybe. It all depends on how you see it. How you see the linebacking stuff. How you see Singleton and TJ, if they're vets or not. If not, we have one vet. If so, we have three. And in my opinion, we don't have any vets outside Wilson, really. But that is your opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. I cannot. I can sway your opinion, but I should not be. But I'm not the one making your opinion for you. Think whatever you want, but I don't think of Singleton and TJ as vet guys, just like I don't think of Ward or Samala or guys like that yet. Just yet. Give them a year or two, and then I'll think about it. But not right now. There is good and bad things about this. Bad thing is cap. Bad thing is what we give up. Good thing is we get another linebacker. Bad thing is he hasn't quote unquote been consistent, but he was consistent in Arizona. But the problem is our strength and conditioning and those coaches and our medical staff suck. They can't keep players healthy. They can't really do very much in terms of keeping players healthy. They've struggled for years. Even though we've tried to make different squads, nothing works. So I think it's a strength and conditioning more or less, but still, nothing is working. They can't even get players healthy. It's a struggle. We need something new. But anyways, that's the other thing, is he wasn't the most healthy in Philly. I discount the first season because you're not really going to start a rookie unless he's a first rounder their first season, and even sometimes their second season. So that's that's where I come into. Like he may not have really gotten the most starting time compared to what he would get. But other than that, he wasn't the most consistent. He wasn't. But only time will tell what happens. I think if there was a deal for him, I'd wait a couple weeks, like week 3, week 4, see what Ertz is doing. If Ertz does good, potentially just player swap and maybe a pick swap or players swap. Or if Ertz does bad, player and pick. Bye. I'd be fine with letting Ertz go because it's the writings on the walls. I don't want him to go, but the NFL's a business, and this at the end of the day, this is business, just business. Dude, I'm flying through these quicker than I thought I would. Free agency. Could we get a linebacker? Maybe. I'd be fine with getting a decent linebacker to be a mentor for the linebackers. Same thing with the receivers. I'd be fine with getting a cheap, older guy to just be more of a mentor. Then again, Deshaun Jackson happened. So, you never know with Philly. But at this point, I honestly think it's probably not going to happen, especially with our budget and cap. But you never know. Dude, I am flying through this. I didn't have much to talk about here either, because not a lot has happened besides the schedule release, but I'm not going to release a roster or a schedule prediction. I just give a base amount of wins, loss right now. An over-under. And right now I'll talk about that when I get scheduled, but I'm not going to do a full look over and everything. I'm not. I talked a bit about our schedule on my stream. I also talked about other teams, I talked about other games like the Thanksgiving games, and at some point I talked about the Christmas games and some other interesting games. But, well, we're going to talk about Philly's schedule now. I'm pulling it up. Where is it? I was going to say we had it in the Discord, and then I lost it. So hopefully I can find it again. Week 1, Philly has Falcons. We're away at the Falcons. That's an interesting game. Another matchup from a couple seasons ago when we had them first week. That'll be a somewhat interesting game. Not much to point out from that game. Week 2, home against San Fran. This time we will battle against a probably healthy San Fran. The outcome's probably not going to be very much in our favor. Week 3, we are away against Dallas. The first division game and the only one in the first 11 weeks. Yeah. Thankfully, it's the away game against Dallas, which, let's face it, this team's not going to go into Jerry World and do too much. Week 4, we are at Kansas City. Now, week 4 and week 6, home against Kansas City. Week 4 and 6, home against Kansas City and then the Bucs. I don't think those are important for the players. I know we're probably going to lose those, but I think it's more about what the coaches can do in those games because they're both former Super Bowl teams. I thought too fast, or I thought way faster than I talked, and I kind of confused myself there and jumbled my words. But they're former Super Bowl teams. You're not gonna win against these guys in a half. Gonna do it. But it'll test the coaches' minds, especially Gannon, and I think Sirianni is calling plays on offense, but Sirianni and the offensive staff and Gannon and the defensive staff, it will really test. Week 5, we are away against Carolina. I'm not the most interested in that game, but hey. At least it's something. It might be interesting depending on how Carolina does this season. And if they're not that great, it'll probably be a good game. Week 7, we are away against the Raiders. This is the only streak that we are away 2 games in a row. And then week 8, we are away against the Lions. I'm going to talk about these kind of in a jumble. Raiders, they've got a weak secondary. They're rebuilding their defense and offense. Well, I'll get to this game later because this is a team that I don't know. They could come out swinging. They could come out half dead. It all depends on how their roster shapes up. The Lions, they suck. They're not going to be very much of a competition, but then again, Philly probably won't either, so that probably will be a very contested game. I'm lowballing Philly right now, but hey, man, we may not do this so hot this season, depending on how the roster pans out. And if the last 2 seasons have been any kind of reflection, it'll probably pan out badly. Week 8, home against the Chargers. Herbert, no, probably not going to win that one. You're playing Keenan Allen at receiver. I'm not sure who they have at tight end since Hunter Henry left. But you've got to face against some good players there. And at the Chargers. And they got one. Don't they have one of the Bosa brothers? Yeah, that's the team that's probably going to beat us. And then Broncos, week 10, away. That team is in shambles. I think Philly can probably win that. Depending on how the Broncos come out of the gates, or how they are mid-stretch of the season, but who knows? Week 11, Saints. This is going to be interesting. I spotlighted this game when I was talking on Lindy's stream a couple days. It was like Thursday. This is an interesting game, I think. You're not. I don't. I still don't know if up to this game. I don't. Even though it's on home turf. Week 12, second division game away, Giants. Probably gonna lose, but they got a bunch of receivers. Who's covering them? Who's covering Galladay? Slay. Who's covering the rest of the receiving core? And Kyle Rudolph. Eric Wilson will probably be on Rudolph. And then I don't see anybody covering them. But I don't think we can walk out of that one with a win. Especially depending on how our defense or our offense looks. Week 13 away. Actually, no, I was wrong. There is two streaks of away. And this one is against the Jets. Now, the Philly team may not remember or really care about the comments that Mims said, and also, who else was there? What was Darby there? No, Darby's on the Broncos, I think. That would be fun to put him on skates in the Broncos game. I would be fine with us losing if we did that multiple times during that game. But somebody else is there. I can't think of who else is there, and Josh Adams is too. But that'll be interesting. And the fans will definitely remember what Mims said. The fans remember everything. They do. So that'll be fun to hear the fans chanting something. Something that I can kind of foresee. But week 14, bye week. Thank you, late season bye week. I like this bye week, especially before a streak of division games. Home against Washington, home against New York, away against Washington, home against Dallas. Whew. Yeah, I'm not liking this. You are going to play at home against Washington. They don't have a quarterback, but man, honestly, I don't know. I think that's going to be a toss-up game. Same with the other Washington game at Washington. I think we drop the one at Washington and potentially pick up the one at home, but that's just because of advantage at that point. Week 14, between those two Washington games, Giants game. I think that Giants game we may lose too. Just looking at it in general, we suck. We do. Compared to the Giants right now, we shouldn't win that game. And then I don't see anybody. I just see turf and the opponent's offense. I don't see any corners on the field. No, nobody. Nobody's gonna be covering them because we don't have any. We don't really have anybody besides Slay on the outside, unless Zach McPherson turns into something. But two games I really will highlight are the Raiders game and the Saints game. Because the Raiders, I think, yes, the secondary is not the best, but they just put a few pieces on it, I will say. Not only that, they're building a defensive line that could be strong depending on how it pans out. And their secondary could at least be mid-tier depending on how their picks pan out there too. And they're rebuilding their offensive line. It could be good, it could be bad, we don't know this early. And it's early in their rebuilding the line too, but I think it's all well and possible that they do good with that all line. So with the flip of a switch, you've got a decent secondary, a decent to good D line and a decent to good O line. I don't think Philly can match up against that because we have question marks galore, and if stuff doesn't pan out, yeah, we're dropping that. And the Saints, even though they may have a quarterback controversy, well, Sean Payton is a mastermind. Literally a mastermind of the defense. Now, the thing about Sean Payton is if you get Hill in there, he's going to have a lot of plays designed for Hill, especially QB runs. You're not going to be able to stop that because it's Philly, but you never know. Especially with a new DC. If this was Schwartz, I would mark that down as an L right here, right now. But I think it depends on how Gannon really kind of disguises his looks and everything, and disguises his blitzes. I think that's all it truly depends on, and how Peyton game plans. But at this point, if they got Winston in, I don't know. Depends on what Winston we get. It depends on if we get another 30 for 30 Winston, or Winston actually is good. I don't know. And then they're not going to put Book in. That offense is not built for Book. That's not ready for Book. That's not designed for Book. That is not Book ready. Don't throw him into the fire. Don't throw him head first in the fire. Do not do what the Browns did to who was that former Notre Dame quarterback? Brady Quinn. Don't do it. Don't do it. I don't want to see another Notre Dame quarterback get ruined like Brady Quinn. I don't. If you want Book to succeed, you build that offense for him and you let him scramble. And Lindy actually asked me a good question that I think I definitely thought about a lot, and I've been thinking about. It was, is Taysom Hill what you would consider a scrambling quarterback? Now, I said this on a stream, but I'll reiterate and with some new thoughts. No, because that he's not, but he's more of a gadget player than a scrambling quarterback. That's all I'm gonna say in that respect. Peyton, the game planner he is, the great game planner he is gonna make him more designed runs and everything, and design plays to get him moving and outside the pocket and on the outside and over the line of scrimmage than you would a scrambling quarterback. A scrambling quarterback, you're more gonna give plays they're designed for him to get moving and throw on the run, throwing the ball, or design plays that will get him protection, and if he needs to scramble out. Because a scrambling quarterback, especially one like Book, relies a lot on the instincts. And there's sometimes where he scrambles out prematurely, which I don't necessarily blame him. I wouldn't blame him as a rookie. That's something you can teach, but part of it's always going to be just senses and scrambling. So part of it you cannot teach, but honestly, I don't think Taysom's a quarterback, scrambling quarterback. I don't necessarily think he's built like one either. I think he is more of a gadget player that you can kind of mold to look somewhat like a scrambler, but not fully. And he is not the greatest thrower. Scramblers, one thing they can sometimes do is throw, or at least they're usually somewhat accurate or can somewhat throw a deep ball. I don't really know if Hill can do that. He hasn't gotten enough attempts to where I can kind of look at it and give one thing or the other. So I don't know. But I don't think he is. I don't know if he will be. But that's all. This is another thing that's kind of based on opinion, in a way too. But I don't know. It depends on what you think of as scrambling quarterback. I don't necessarily think of him as a scrambling quarterback like I would someone like a Book or someone like a Vic. Even though Vic had a cannon, which was unusual for scrambling quarterbacks, or someone like a Renningham. I wouldn't think of him in that sense. I would think of him more in a gadget player sense, like I will say over and over. But anyways, this has been the Common Flock. Although I will say one thing before I go, I did not talk about Rodgers because I want to let that play out a little bit more. I've said before, let it play out. But anyways, This has been the Common Flock. We've actually been going way longer than I thought we have. And signing out.